So if you've been following us for a while, you've seen that John and I both have been relatively high on Caleb Williams. We haven't had a lot of bad things to say. We believe he has the most talent in this quarterback class, the most talent in this class, period. He's done things in college that we just really haven't seen anybody besides like Patrick Mahomes do. And the question is, why do I now have a strong feeling that he's a bust? It's because there's more that goes into a quarterback's measurement than arm talent, things he did on the field, even more than film and, interview breakdown. How does he interact with people? How does he handle big moments? How does he handle the camera? How does he handle the spotlight? How does he interact with teammates? And so far,
how does he handle losing?
How does he handle losing is a big thing, right? Because we really don't. I mean, the glimpses we saw in college, it's not like he's a great loser. Okay. And he lost plenty, by the way. So he's used to it, and he still doesn't handle it well. This guy's not a winner, which is the number one thing that you measure a quarterback in, right? Not a winner. Then you look at how he's been interacting with, in these interviews with just the media that the whole world, like he's just full of himself, 100% full of himself. I get being confident. I get even being a little bit cocky because you kind of have to be good in a situation like this. You can't ever doubt yourself. But oh my, dude, it's hard to watch. I mean, you listen to his call when he gets drafted. And not one thank you, not one yes, sir, not one thing of you're going to get the best out of me. I'm coming to help you guys win football games. Nothing that stood out to me in a positive way. Everything was like, yeah, I know. I knew I was going to do the first pick. Yeah, cool, man. I'm ready. Sweet. No respect for his authority, no respect for the situation and the opportunity.
And by the way, gratitude and confidence can go together very easily. Those are not difficult things.
I know. It was actually weird. Almost like he's a sociopath listening to that phone call. I'm like, dude, show some gratitude, show some humbleness. You know what I mean? There was nothing. And on top of all that, the text to the punter, which is whatever, he's trying to send a message, he won't be punting a lot. Dude, you're just a douchebag. I'm sorry, you're just a douchebag, and you're going into a city that's going to eat you alive if you don't win right away. And he's going into the most favorable quarterback situation in this draft, which you almost never see the first pick go into the best situation. And he's got literally everything he needs.
He could be a Carolina Panther right now, which he would be significantly less happy about than being a Bear. And yet still it feels like, there's
and it sucks for the Bears, John. It does. It sucks for the Bears because it got to a point where it's if they didn't take him, and he ended up panning out, they were going to be laughed at forever, right? They already missed on Patrick Mahomes. They sure as hell weren't going to do this, right? But I think it skewed their ability to actually use this first pick and take who they wanted. And I don't, they're going to say that this is who they wanted, but in 5 years from now, when Drake May or Jaden or JJ or Penix or somebody is clearly the best quarterback from this class, we're going to look back and be like, the Bears had an awesome, awesome trade situation with Carolina, and they screwed it up. Everything else they've done great. I just think this is the miss. Getting Odunze was great. How they handled the free agency was great. I think the rest of their draft was pretty solid, but they did what everyone's supposed to do and take Caleb. And it's just alarming me at more and more. The more I see, the more concerned I am about this pick.
Yeah. And just look, coming at this from my perspective, I get a text from Mark the morning of the draft, and Mark and I have go back and listen to our previous podcast. We're saying, we don't care about, his personality or what he's doing with fashion or what he's doing with his nails. We don't give a shit. He plays football like an NFL player, and it makes sense that he's going to be the number one overall pick. And then this doubt starts creeping, in from Mark's side of things. And I'm like, dude, shut up. Are you just trying to have something quirky and edgy to say on the day of the draft? He's like, no. Just this past week, leading up to the draft, the remaining person where there's nothing left about the pre-draft process other than your personality in front of the media, how you interact with people, in the NFL and things like that. And some of those things that I think not only we, but really all of the media just is kind of sweeping under the rug, saying, nah, his teammates love him. This isn't problematic. Who cares? It's fun. It's quirky. These are the things you get to do when you're, for sure the consensus number one overall pick. You do sit there and go, well, there's been other guys that have been taken number one overall that had better college careers and had, better personality traits and, weren't so full of themselves and didn't have this kind of attitude that still were not successful in the NFL. So why should we feel so immensely confident that Caleb Williams is about to be the exception? Because look, I'm still in the bucket of he's going into a great offensive line with a solid run game and 3 phenomenal receivers. And we're going to talk about Odunze here in a second, with one of the better run defenses in the league and just signed a true lockdown corner. This Bears team should be a playoff team. And I still, despite the doubt that has crept in over at the practice squad pod, the past, few days here, I still think the Bears will be a playoff team. But there's the nuance of the conversation that it could be wrong. We could be totally wrong. And
there's an analogy for this. There's a movie scene for this. Step Brothers, right? One of the best movies of all time. They walk in to do their interview.
This guy loves Step Brothers, right? By the way.
Hey,
loves Step Brothers.
Walks in to do their interview in tuxedos. Everything, hey, that's pretty cool. I get it. You're funny guys. And then the fart happens, right? And he goes, now the tuxedos seem pretty fucked up. John mentioned that we don't care about the fingernails and all that stuff. He's right. We don't. But when he comes in and he's a bust and all these character flaws, these red flags that we're starting to notice.
We're waiting for
now, when you look back, the fingernails, all that shit. Yeah, it seems pretty fucked up now. You know what I mean? So if he ends up being a bust, they're going to look back and be like, yeah, that stuff is, probably was some red flags for us. And we didn't see them. And they were just blatantly obvious.
Quick segue, by the way. My watch count on Step Brothers is actually extraordinarily low. I'm sure yours is triple digits, but I watched it, I think, probably for the 3rd time in my life a couple of weeks ago. It ages like fine wine. I'm not gonna lie. It was American funnier watching it as a full grown adult than it was as a high schooler or whatever.
Yeah, it's the best comedy movie of all time.
To rope this back in, the Bears had very limited assets going into this draft, and they walk out of here with what I think is an incredibly strong draft. Rome Odunze, obviously.
Rome's a solid pick, man.
I mean, first of all, I can't think of a better pairing for Caleb Williams alongside more Keenan Allen, who's a 1-year rental, and Mooney. I mean, that's a disgusting receiving core. It's really, really good.
They went from having no weapons to having the best receiving core in the NFC North. Besides arguably the Vikings, but they're deeper than the Vikings receiver core.
They're deeper than the Vikings receiver. Obviously, they don't have Justin Jefferson, but still, I mean, this receiving core is going to be solid. And I think that each of those receivers bring different things to the table, which is what you kind of look for. Is there's a diverse set of skills there. And then they drafted, who Mark mentioned. He texted this guy saying, "We're not going to need your services very often this season," but Torrey Taylor might be the best punter in this draft, which is why he was drafted so high. And you talk about a high-powered offense with good defense, and now you add great field position into the mix. This Bears team, and look,
they're doing everything they can to help a rookie, dude. I'm telling you.
I was going to say,
if you can't score, you might as well flip field position and give him a short field.
We are Lions fans to our core, and we have talked more shit on the Bears than probably any other franchise over the course of this podcast. The Bears are set up to be a successful franchise. We'll see if they live up to that, but I'm saying right here on record right now that this team should be a playoff team, and not only that, they should win playoff games.
They're set up, but there's one big question mark, John. We're going to find out.
There's more than a few, man. I mean, Eberflus is very questionable as a coach as well.
That's true too. But I mean, the big one is Caleb. Caleb can take them as high and as far as they want to go, and he can destroy this franchise by just failing miserably. It's truly that. It's on him.